Dyslexic Genius here. I'm back on the A100 Edison for Tony, and we're going to assemble the whole gear train here.
Gear train?
The gear train. The governor, the drive gear for the horn, spindle shaft, all the little nicks and parts and fun stuff. And this is what you have to do if you're going to do a restoration. Everything has to be completely super cleaned. I do restorations for people, and my work always has its name on it. And I don't want this phonograph to run for 20 years. I want this Edison A100 to run for over 100 years. So I do little tweaks as I go along, and you've seen them. Like, we had the stuck gear, which I had to drill out, and then it was cross-threaded, so I had to go up one screw. I went from a 540 to a 632, but I tapped the other side. And why am I using a stainless steel set screw in here? Go find a small set screw, blackened, with a slot cut in it. You're not going to find one. I mean, or you're going to pay through the nose if you can find one from some phonograph dealer or parts guy. So I just do that. And the other thing is, we do the YouTubes, and it goes worldwide. And what do you do if you're in Brazil? Well, you're not going to find that screw. So, I can use a set screw. And I do this. And it doesn't hurt the cost or anything in the restoration that's under the hood. So let's assemble this. I've pre-oiled all the screws. You have 4 screws that are the same. You have a big screw, which holds this bearing in place up here. And then we have the adjuster knob that goes up there. And then we have these 2 little small ones. So on assembly, and I've pre-oiled everything, we're going to set this in, this bearing. And this bearing has a slot cut in it. And I've cleaned this, and I stuck a needle in the bottom for the drain hole for the oil. And you want to make sure the bearing's in there. And the screw goes right there. So first, put that one in.
You put that screw in there.
Put this screw in. You put this screw in here for the governor. Just a couple of turns so it's going in. Make sure it's going in straight. And you can see that screw, it was drilled off from the factory. That screw is not straight. When you dial it out, you'll see things. If you look closely at that, it's tilting this way. That's a factory boo-boo. I love factory boo-boos. That one's going straight. Just a little bit.
Another screw in there.
Another screw in here. This is for the tracking assembly. This one doesn't want to go in. There we go. Okay, so how do we assemble this? Spindle shaft, bearing, screw. So what we're going to do is we're going to oil inside where the spindle shaft goes, right here. We're going to oil this. This gear goes in this way, so we're going to slide that in. And we're going to leave that one loose the whole time of the assembly. Let's slide this down. Now you're going to align the bearing with a slot with this screw. Bottom it out, crank it off just a little, and make sure that it stops. Also, I flex toned all these places where all the bearings go in. I polished all the bearings out. I used a flex tone like this, so when we put a bearing in, like this bearing will come in. And you see how that moves back and forth smoothly? This is all force adjustment. So now what we're going to do, we're going to install the governor. Governor's going to come in here like that. I'm going to put that bearing in, line up the hole, come into the back one,
Put in the other bearing.
and the other bearing. There we go. Give it a turn, see how smoothly that runs. Gonna tighten that screw down. Give it a spin, tighten that screw down. And we're going to make sure that this gear is centered on that, on the drive gear. Pretty close, got to move it up a little. Now you see how the governor drive gear, they're both hitting in the center. The top of this gear is hitting that gear, so that's good. Bottom this bearing out, give it a spin, it's running. Put a drop of oil right there on the governor and right over here on the governor. Excellent. This gear down till it centers with the governor. So we've now centered the drive gear, centered on there. Perfect. Put this bearing in. There we go. Easy way is to push the shaft with this gear over so you can hit it like that. See how I hit that? You can come over on this side. There we go. Now this gear has to be in dead center in line with with the drive gear at the bottom. So you look down there and you go, no, it's got to be right there. So tighten the back one down. Push on this bearing here. I got it. Put a dab of oil on this bearing here. Same thing down here. Come up, put some sewing machine oil in there, turn it up, and that's how you assemble it. Now you come in, put this one in.
Put a screw there?
Put the end bearing adjustment screw here. Put the end bearing adjustment screw here. This is the fine adjustment. That one on. The governor side. And that's all there is. After we get the motor assembled, you'll see me sometimes undo this screw. Governor won't come flying out, and then you undo this one just a little, and you hit that sweet spot with the governor running. There might be a little play in there you might need or might not need. And that's my tip for the day.